In today's routine, we're looking to improve your ability to put your arm in an overhead position, plus we're trying to get some more extension and flexion in your upper back here. So obviously if you've got like an office-based job, you know, if you're hunched over quite a lot, you will get like a lot of tension built up in this sort of mid-back area to the upper back area here. So just by, you know, reducing some of that tension, restoring some movement to your spine, you can just get in these more upright positions, which is going to help with just general posture, but then being in this better position here as well, it's going to put you in a better position to put your arms overhead here. So we're going to need a foam roller and we're going to need a lacrosse ball. We're going to start with a lacrosse ball. And what we're doing is aiming for this area here. Let's put my hood up so you can see it. And what we want, so we're just standing here. What we've got is your shoulder blade here. You've got your spine here. We've got your trap here, okay? So what we're looking for is not to be on the trap or obviously any of the bone, but we're looking to be on this sort of tissue here that covers the ribs here. So imagine you've got your rib cage, you've just got like this meaty sort of section here. That's where we're aiming to place the ball, okay? And what you can think about as well is the different vertebrae that you've got, and you can just move down, like you can start off here and then move down, okay? So we're gonna go for around 2 minutes each side on this. So starting out, we will just land to the floor here. You want to tip yourself to one side and take the ball, place it into there, and just take a moment just to make sure you've got it in an area, like I said, that isn't pressing on bone. You don't want it, you know, obviously not on your spine. It's going to be quite uncomfortable on your shoulder blade. And all we're going to do starting out is just breathing in, contract the muscle, hold for about 3 seconds and then relax off. Now for me, I just need to get a little bit more underneath myself here. So what you can do is just put your finger on it there and just walk your feet back, get a little bit more pressure. I mean, if you want more, you can, you know, lift up your hips a little bit so you've got weight driving into the ball. And it depends, you know, where you are, but I personally like to do that now. I'm at a stage where I can, you know, take that, contract and relax, okay? Maybe the first time you've done it, you might not want to, like, you know, put extra weight into the ball. And then what we're going to do is just move down slightly now. So now I probably won't lift up quite as much because the ball's more underneath me now. Before, like, not all my whole back was on there, but put my head back, contract, relax, move down again slightly, contract, and relax there, okay? So you can stay in a few spots, you know, a few times, but I like to just think about moving down like the distance of almost like one vertebrae, you know, like one part of your spine. So now like, I will just go down, obviously careful to, and I'm getting, now this spot here, it starts to thin out a little bit. So, you know, the getting the ball, you know, the sliver of muscle that you want to aim for the ball for is smaller now. So contract there, just slowly relax off. You find it starts to feel good. We'll just do 10 more seconds. I'm getting into there, okay? So what we're going to do now we finish, is just get a little bit of movement going on. So I will just show you this before I lay back down. The second time I'm not going to, but what we're looking for is essentially like the hand to start here on the hip, and we're taking it over into an overhead position with our thumb facing backwards, okay? So what we're looking to do now is come up to there. And what that's going to do is if your hand's here over this side and you move, it moves your shoulder blade upwards in this direction, okay? So then by moving up then, so the shoulder blade is going to move up and then back to the center, okay? So we'll just get a little bit of shoulder blade movement going on. And what we'll do is just come into there, just so we're not, you know, too much of time. We'll just do 10 reps like this, all the way back to there. Obviously you probably won't get your thumb to the floor because you've got a ball shoved in the muscle behind your back, which kind of blocks moving it a little bit. I'm going to go a little bit lower. I've done 5 lower, now I'm going to do 5 higher, which feels a little bit less, you know, it feels more sensitive. I was going to say nice, a little bit less nice, not proper English. Into there. 5 there, okay? So if you want to do more though, just feel free to. And into that position there. And what we're looking to do is just get that overhead position there. Obviously, sometimes getting your head onto the floor when you've got something underneath it again, you might be propped up a little bit. So what we're going to do now is just going to spin around. We're going to do 2 minutes on the other side. So again, like I said, we're just aiming for that muscle in between, you know, your spine and your shoulder blade. And this side for me feels already, I can feel that feels a lot more sensitive. We just contract. Relax, okay? And you find this a lot of the time when you're doing this sort of stuff, especially the soft tissue stuff and, you know, some of the joint capsule mobilizations, that, you know, we're never really, we're not that symmetrical. As you can notice, like last time I was like lifting my hips up to push weight in. I mean, that doesn't feel too bad. I mean, another option is like if you really want to go, is you can get a dumbbell and place it on your chest here, but you know, just for the purpose of this demo, we won't do that. Contract. There, good. So I'm just going to lift my head forward slightly, and sometimes you just literally just poke it down with the ball, like sometimes, or you can rock if you don't want to like I think I've said in previous videos. Sometimes, you know, if you're moving from one area to the other, sometimes just running over the muscle with a ball or a roller doesn't feel very good. You maybe like your muscle is too sensitive to do that, so sometimes you're better off just like lifting up slightly, pushing it a little bit further forward. You know, noodling it, you know, getting yourself into a position. It might take a little bit of a shimmying around. But, so like into there now, right by my shoulder blade here. Like this is super tense there. Good. Just move it down just slightly more now. So you don't really want to take it much lower than sort of like, just a bit of crude, you know, like sort of like your nipple line, I would say. With that, you start moving down into sort of like underneath your sort of shoulder blades. You probably do that on there. And I feel like I've got a big, I'm just going to concentrate on this area because I feel like I've got a big knot there. And really try and relax. When you relax, try and make it slow. You don't want to tense up and then suddenly just release and the ball go deep into a relaxed tissue. Okay, so I'm just going to pause that there. And what we're going to do now, like I said, just go for 10 more. 10 here. So start here on the hip, overhead position with the thumb, all the way behind you here. There. So we do 5 there. Move down ever so slightly. So now I've like taken some of the tension out. I don't mind rolling over. Sometimes sometimes you just need to get in there and just wrestle around. But I know it like it's not a good feeling at first. It sometimes takes a little bit of getting used to. I'm sure if any of you have had a sports massage, like it probably wasn't that much of an enjoyable, you know, process for you the first time you had one done. You know, but over time, you get used to these things as you get less tense. So now we have done that now. So we've basically, we've loosened off this area up here, you know, so already that should start feeling a bit looser. Now we're going to take the foam roller and we're going to work at your T-spine. So your T-spine essentially starts at the bottom of your spine here, it's your thoracic spine, and it stops at the bottom of your ribs. What we're going to do is take the roller, just going to place it in part of that. I would say just start about midline. Now, this is a bit of personal preference. Like some people find it's quite hard on their neck, holding this position, depending on like what sort of things you do in your neck. So if you want to put your hand here and support that, that's absolutely fine. And that's not a bad way to start. You know, all we're doing is just trying to extend the back over here. Bring your chin forward there. And there, okay? So we're just taking our back through flexion and extension, extension, flexion, into there. Now, most of us have no bother with flexing our spine. Like I said to you, we spend quite a lot of people spend a lot of their time in static position, sat at desk. So we're just going to come down about 2 inches now and coming onto here. Now, sometimes it doesn't feel, but so yeah, flexing. Most of us favour that sort of overly flexed position. So this is why it's good to really concentrate on this extension of the spine, just opening it up, and especially coupled with the fact that, you know, I've released some of the tension there. So now when I get closer to the top, you might need to start lifting your heels out a little bit because it's hard to get enough bend in that spine without having to lower your lower back. So if you're here, it's, you know, you've got to extend quite far back. But if you're here, it's not so dramatic, you know. So into there. We've done about a minute so far. Then what you want to do is come down there. So another area that's quite important is coming down quite low actually on the back there. Like this is an area where a lot of people get a lot of tension in here, and you know, kind of where your T-spine starts to sort of finishes really, like right at the bottom there. Once that becomes quite jammed up, it becomes quite hard to actually, you know, control how your rib cage tilts and all things like that. So then it can start to have an effect on how you move. Because, like I said before, we've got this is just mobility we're doing here. Like, you know, obviously there are some skill elements we're doing, some of these mobilization things here, but in terms of like the skill, that's going to be separate exercises you do. And you know, at times, if you don't have the range of motion to get into a certain position, you know, the way you move in and out of that position is going to be affected, and you have to compensate. So you see there, you know, I played around with different arm positions here. What we'll do then, just to finish up then, just do another 30 seconds, and we're just going to aim in, make sure I've got enough room behind me. We're just going to be aiming at getting your arms overhead in that position. So thumbs back and just into here now. So we're coming, extending back into there. Now obviously when you press overhead, you shouldn't be fully like extending your spine or everything, but you should certainly be able to bring your spine into a neutral position, you know, so that neutral position at the top, having a natural curvature at the top, but it not being exaggerated and stuck there. You know, you don't want to be, you know, trying to do push press and all the rest of it, and you've got this, you know, your default position is just to be really hunched over here, because that just makes it harder, you know, because your head's stuck forward, it makes it harder for you to do anything. So just by sometimes straightening up, as you can see there, look, my arms are already closer to the side of my head there. So really, you know, open that up, spend some time there. Like I said, if you need to spend any more time, you know, I've said before, if you need to spend like slightly longer removing some of the tension, slightly longer in the positions, that's fine. You know, go for that. Arms around your body, however you feel comfortable on the roller. The important thing is that we flex and extend the spine.